Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prairie Grown Reviews channel. We review books, games, movies, and TV shows. And today we will be reviewing The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 8, Chapter 16, The Rescue. So boys, on our way back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, what was your non-spoiler thoughts today?
It was good. It was a fun episode. It had a lot of stuff, a lot of reveals, a good amount of plot. Like it was a pretty plot heavy
Yep.
episode that covered a lot for like to wrap up this season and to like lead into the next one. Overall, just a really good episode.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'd like to appreciate Nathaniel's depth he went into there with his first statement of it was good. I totally appreciate that. That's how I start all my reviews anyways. But no, all jokes aside, I really like this one. I would have loved to see a little bit more length, right? We only got 43, 44 minutes with the extra scene at the end. There is one this time. But we got a lot done. We sort of accomplished a lot, and we actually did a couple things in this episode that I would have liked to have seen in the last episode, and sort of the same concept of things, but we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But I really thought it was pretty solid and it accomplished exactly what it needed to. So
Yeah, I'd have to agree with both of you. Like I thought it ended the season very well, like on a high note. Like if you want to end on your best, do your best at the end. Like this was that, I think.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, I would have liked a little more length, like Austin and Nat, but at the same time, I just thought the action was on point, and it mixed the action with story very well, in my opinion. It had a good balance between the two throughout the episode, and in the end, it had some reveals. It had a lot of callbacks to the Return of the Jedi for those of you who like that particular Star Wars movie. So I just think it did a very good job on its in its job of presenting us a very good last episode with lots of great action scenes that I'll definitely check out again. And props to the director, Peyton Reed, who directed episode 2, I'm pretty sure. And
Yes.
once again, he was the director of the Ant-Man movies. So for all of you who like those movies. But if that's all for your non-spoiler thoughts, yeah.
I think that covers the finale, big finale, pretty good.
Yeah.
So if that's all, we will move into spoiler section now. Welcome back to the spoiler section. So, Austin, I actually want to touch on you first. You said you had some
Sweet.
things you wanted them to do last episode, some concepts, some ideas that
Yep.
you wanted them to do last episode they did in this episode. I'm curious what those are.
Well, so the way we took the ship, which is sort of getting ahead of ourselves here, but sort of the way that we took the light cruiser, right? It was very strategic. There was some really solid action. It was more of like, it gave me sort of a nostalgic feel of like, this is what this should be, right? And that's sort of what I wanted to see from the prison break instead of the 30-second scene of them just walking him out. You know what I mean? It was a little
That's
bit
fair.
anticlimactic, not to go back to last episode, but that's sort of, I would have liked to see a little bit more of this hardcore action, room to room, sort of clearing the place out, right? I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So moving on from that, let's just start from the beginning of the episode because there's a lot to cover here.
Mhm.
So, the very first thing that happens is they capture Dr. Pershing from one of those imperial transport ships, I guess you call them.
Yep.
I
love
thought that was a
scene.
pretty good
It was,
scene.
it was hilarious. It was so funny. And
Yeah.
that one Imperial's like, yeah, I don't want to lose my life over this. Gets shot in the back by his own teammate.
Yeah,
Love it. Friendly fire.
friendly
exactly.
fire.
I think that
The other guy was diehard Imperial too. He was
Yeah.
willing
I
to
don't.
die
I
for
don't
the
think it was a good
cause.
idea to like goad on a carrot that. Like, no, it was not a good idea.
He just had
I
it in his
don't know what
head.
he was trying to accomplish.
He just had it in his head that he had all the
Like,
cards in that situation, and he really didn't at all. Like, he had no cards. His only
Nope.
card was his buddy, and then he shot his buddy. And then
Yeah.
he was like, he had no cards. He valued the doctor way too much and thought he was going to shoot faster than them, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
But the
literally.
gun wasn't even on them anyway. Like it was pointing at the doctor. Like it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be able to react fast enough if either Mando or Kara just shoots you right now. Like,
Nope.
honestly.
Not a
And you'd
chance.
never go after someone's home like that. Like you killed her entire planet. That's just stupid. Like you go on that, and she's just gonna kill you. She has no
Yeah.
problem killing Imperials.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's questionable decisions. Just saying,
Yeah.
questionable
Yes,
decisions.
No doubt, but it was a good start to the episode. It was sort
it
of got us
was.
off on a little bit of a comedic note, but also we got a little bit more of a background look into a couple of our characters in that way too, right? So I thought it was a good start.
Yeah.
Me too. I'd agree. And then we move on, and we go to see Bo-Katan, and we get some good interaction between her her friend, her other Mandalorian, and
Yep.
Boba Fett, who get in a little fight. And honestly, I thought that was a cool little fight.
I thought it was hilarious. Like, I also loved how Boba Fett, he's like, nope, I got this. And then he just gets
Yeah.
absolutely tossed. It's just like,
The scene where they had just the flamethrowers at each other, that was like a nice finish. It was like, man, you guys could like take down the whole building at
yeah,
this point.
literally Just-
Literally.
shattering tables. And yeah, that was interesting. I wasn't totally sure if they were going to be as eager to help Mando as they were, but ulterior motives work
Yeah.
pretty
I think as
well.
soon as they mentioned Moff Gideon,
Yeah.
Bo-Katan was like, yep, I need this now.
Sold.
She wants that dark saber.
Yeah, exactly.
Wants that dark saber.
Yeah, that worked out not well at all. We'll get
We'll
there.
get to
though.
that later. Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. So next after we leave there, a callback here to Return of the Jedi. They use an Imperial transport ship to
Yep.
get onto the light cruiser. They go behind it Boba Fett's behind it, trying to like make it seem like they're on the run to get them in really quickly without so much of a check on the ship to make sure that there's actual Imperials in there. So it was smart. It was interesting. But of course, as we learned, Moff Gideon, like the second he heard her voice, he knew who she was. Like
Yep.
he knew, like he was so smart and ahead of everyone. He's one step ahead.
Yep.
For most of this episode. He does get caught off guard a few times.
Almost. Yep.
Almost. And so they use that. And there's this whole talk from Dr. Pershing about the Dark Troopers, who
Yeah.
it wasn't confirmed before, but they are not people. They are droids.
Yep.
Even though I suspected in episode, was that 6?
6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that they
Yeah, that was
that they
episode 6.
were droids, just because it didn't look like a person could be in there.
No.
Like, didn't look like there was room for any sort of alien or humanoid creature's arm.
No. I figured they were
No.
a little bit too structured in the way they did things. Like the discipline is only something that we've seen from droids. Like it'd be darn near impossible to get any living life form to move that exactly
Walk in unison.
with that amount of precision, right? And they're stiff, right? They are
Yeah.
so stiff.
They were really stiff, yes.
Like
That's
there's
what I was
no
gonna
there's
say,
no
yeah.
give anywhere. It's just like right. So yeah, that was my big tipping point back in episode 6.
Yeah. So we see our the 4, Fennec, Bo-Katan, the other Mandalorian, and Cara Dune. We see them exit the transport ship, and we see them just wreck this light cruiser. Like all the stormtroopers, they're just like killing them left, right, and center. And we see Mando sneak off to go find Grogu. And along the way, he gets into a fight with a dark trooper, which was also a pretty cool little fight. Like he uses the spear for the first time to kill it in the end. Like when it lit up with the fire, that was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. But I also like the way that he cleverly sidelines the dark troopers for 90% of the episode, sending them into space.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that would have been bad if they'd.
Yeah.
I've written down in my notes here about halfway through the episode, right when he releases the rest of them and then gets absolutely pounded against the wall. I just quickly wrote down. I was like, dark troopers would have been really bad, and then they come back. But we'll get
Yeah,
there.
they do.
Yeah.
More on that later. So then he finally gets to Grogu's cell.
Yep.
And we see Moff Gideon there with the dark saber holding it over him. And I just was like so worried that like I knew I was very unlikely that Grogu was like actually going to get hurt or die, but I was like worried like maybe his
Sure.
hand gets cut off. Like that's
Yep.
a Star Wars tradition at this point. Like I was like
Yep.
pretty nervous that something like the way it was hovering over him.
Yep. There's a chance.
Yep.
Not very big, but there was, yeah. Nothing is out of the ordinary here. So
Nat, what'd you think of that scene? Just the confrontation.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to quickly go back to the Dark Troopers for a quick second.
yeah, for sure.
Like, man, when what was it? Mando was fighting him one-on-one and like getting punched in the face, and like his like armor did not dent at all. I was like,
Nope.
holy crap, Beskar is like nuts, like
Yeah.
actually nuts. Yeah.
It
Anyways,
is.
that was just a quick side note for that. Also for that scene with Grogu and Moff Gideon,
Yep.
gotta say he tried his best to negotiate. I don't know why he tried to aim right at his armor when he struck. It doesn't really make any sense because he knows he has Beskar, right? Like you should be aiming at the gaps in the armor. That's always how it works.
Yep.
But I guess I don't know. For as smart as Moff Gideon is, he didn't aim properly.
No. He did a fantastic job. But he's very smooth with his words. We know this, but
Mhm.
he does a fantastic job of convincing Mando that he's going to let him go. We all knew he wasn't going anywhere, but
No.
Mando's like, okay, that's fine. I'll leave. You're good.
Yeah.
then-
Like I only came for one thing and one thing only, and if we don't need bloodshed, that's fine.
That's not
Exactly.
what happens.
Yeah, like you never turn your back to a guy like that. Like, but yeah, like Nat said, he was dumb to aim like right for the back on the Beskar there. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, there's gaps in the armor, but it leads to like the best fight in the episode.
Oh,
in my
yeah.
mind.
That's arguably the best fight we've seen
Mano y
Period.
mano, yeah.
all season, period.
All
Mhm.
series
All
almost.
series, yeah. I would agree with that, actually. The Ahsoka one's a close second, but that one was just pure power. So,
Literally. Like the way it clashed off and the colors and the way that
Mhm.
the Beskar spear started to heat up, but like it wasn't gonna break.
Nope.
Like, and just the way like the sparks that flew when it hit the Darksaber and like they were spinning and Mando like he flipped the spear to knock Moff Gideon, and when he finally got him down, I was shocked. Like, honestly, I wanted it to go on longer. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't a short fight, but I would have loved like an extra few minutes.
Yep.
Because but once he got him down, like Gideon didn't put up a fight because he knew he didn't want to die. Like
Nope.
Gideon's a survivalist as much as he is a strategist. Like he knows how to
Mhm.
survive.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
that was good.
I feel like he had that kind of planned because he knew Bo-Katan needed like the Darksaber, right?
Yeah.
He might have lost that on purpose for reasons we'll get to in a bit.
That's what I was just thinking, that is he might have had a little bit more intent than he wants to let on. Based on his little
Darksaber kind of flew out of his hand,
based on his
Maybe it was-
little monologue near the end there.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a bit, but there might be some more implications in that fight than we originally thought.
Yeah, totally.
Well, in a bit,
You
let's
mean
go
right-
on to the next scene where we see Bo-Katan's reaction to Mando actually being the one to get the Darksaber.
Yep.
She's not happy.
No,
Well, but she's not like it's not like she fights him, which I almost thought she like I
Not
was
yet,
had a
anyways.
suspicion she would.
yeah, that could be the start of season 3.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We got to pick up somewhere.
I don't know if they're gonna do a jump or not, but I guess we'll see.
They very well could,
We could.
actually. Hard to say.
Yep. So no, but there was when they were on the bridge there was a look that Grogu gave. Like he looked angry. Am I the only one who saw that, or
Like at
was
which
I
part?
crazy?
At which part?
Actually, it was a little later in the episode when the Dark Troopers were trying to break in. He just had this look of anger on his face.
I think
He was
so.
sitting
I'm
there
not-
like after Mando hit him.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised he got kidnapped by the Dark Troopers, or he'll have residual anger from that.
Yep.
His fear and whatnot.
I'd agree with that, Sebastian. I did notice that a little bit. Didn't come back until you mentioned that, but yeah, I think it would have been really cool. Like as cool as it was to see what ended up happening to the Dark Troopers, I think it really would have been interesting to see what would have happened if they had actually gotten through, and how Grogu would have reacted to that. Because I think there was potential there to see some pretty awesome power from him if that had occurred, right?
For sure.
That's what I was suspecting. up until we saw an X-Wing. And at first, I thought it was my prediction that we were going to have a troop of X-Wings coming in, and they were going to come, and they were going to land, and they were just going to wreck this Dark Troopers. But that didn't make sense, because like their regular blasters are beating them. And then it was red, and then it landed, and then I was like, it's Red 5, it's Luke Skywalker, it's his X-Wing, and we got him. We got Luke Skywalker.
Yes,
That
we
was
did.
my, out of the Jedi who could come, that was
Yep.
the one I least suspected was coming.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, I did not. But and then I was like, maybe it's not. Maybe there's another X-wing flying Jedi. Though I was like, at this period, no. But then the
Yeah.
green lightsaber. The second it was green, that's
Yep.
exactly the lightsaber he was wielding in Return of the Jedi. That's
Yep.
the X-wing he's flown his whole life.
Yep.
And he just wrecked those Dark Troopers. And we got to see my pal R2D2 in
Yep.
the droid flesh. And it was just amazing to see him wreck everyone.
Yep.
Now, for those of you wondering, it was not Mark Hamill. I do not know who it was. I tried to search it up, could not find it yet. Hopefully that information is released soon, or maybe I just missed it. Who knows? But it was awesome to see the way he just wrecked all of those Dark Troopers and got in, and we heard the Force theme, and like,
Yep.
it was awesome.
It was
Like, what was your reaction the second you saw, well, one, it was a Jedi, then two, it was Luke, like all that. Like, what were your thoughts running through your head?
well, I have notes here. You're not gonna be able to read them, but they went
No.
they went in bullet points. So first it's X-Wings with 3 exclamation points. And my first thought was, dang, Sebastian's right. That was super smart. But then there's only one. Then you got Cara Dune going, what's one gonna do? And then for half a
Literally.
second I was like, maybe it's that one X-Wing pilot that we keep seeing. But I really hope
I
not,
was
because he's
thinking
gonna
that
get
too.
killed so
Yeah.
fast. This is gonna be really bad. And then we saw green and it was over. It was just, like, as soon as Grogu sort of perked up, I was like, okay, we got a Jedi for sure, no doubt there. And then as soon as I saw the lightsaber, it was like, just bells going off. I thought that scene was fantastic. Fantastic.
So did I. And the way he was cloaked the whole time, like,
Yep.
that was awesome. What do you think, Matt?
No, same thing. Saw the X-wing, saw the one. I was like, okay, interesting choice. One pilot's not gonna do much. You know, if Mando can barely take down one, like with a spear, I don't know what a blaster's gonna do. Saw the cloak, saw the gloved hand. I'm like, okay, yep, glove on the one hand. Okay, green lightsaber for sure. I was like, okay, all right. Man, when Luke like killed everyone, I was like, man, these Dark Troopers are a joke. It's like as soon as a Jedi shows up, man, it just shows how strong they were. And then it's like none that
Literally.
left because all the stuff that happened before. But that's a topic for another day. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a really, it was a straight up Deus Ex Machina scene where they're completely like screwed at that point, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Moff Gideon did try to shoot them, try to kill them when the Dark Troopers came in. Backfired terribly because as usual, he can't aim between gaps in armor. But that's fine. As smart as he is, it's fine. But yeah, it was really interesting seeing like the Force in action with actual intent, not just reactionary. Grogu just going foof and whatnot.
Trying to grab some cookies. Yep.
Yeah. No,
Overall, it's a
that
good
was
theme.
my one thing I thought that Moff Gideon didn't predict was a Jedi showing up. He had no idea that Luke was coming. He didn't know. So that was like the one time where you legit saw surprise in his eyes was this, because like his Dark Troopers, someone was just wrecking them. Like you said, Nat, like their power, it just makes those highly advanced droids look like nothing.
Yep.
Like,
See,
so-
surprise, but more importantly, that's the first time we've seen true fear in his eyes. He's never
Yes.
ever been scared of anything because he's known what's going to happen, right? But in that moment, he was just like, this might not work out for me.
nope. He was not sure what was going to be the end result.
Nope.
So then we get a tearful, heartfelt goodbye between Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Grogu, our child, who goes with Luke and R2, and he is looking at Mando the whole time. Mando takes off his helmet, so Grogu can finally see his face, because as far as we know, Grogu's never seen his face, which makes sense. and it
Mhm.
was a sweet moment. Now I don't know when they're going to be reunited. Who knows? Especially with certain things that we find out later. I don't know how long till the next season. So
Yeah.
so who knows? Who knows? Maybe they do a time jump. Maybe Grogu's talking and wielding a little lightsaber and like busting up training droids. I don't know. Who knows?
Grows a little bit maybe,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Maybe he starts his backwards talk. Who knows?
yeah. I think all that depends kind of on how big of a time jump we take, right? Now it
For sure.
may not take too long if he gets, because you got to think some of that training is going to come like right back almost immediately, right? As soon as he
Yes.
starts to work with Luke, so there's going to be some newly grown muscles that are just going to come straight back to him. But as for talking, we don't really know if he communicated other than in his dialect before Mando or not, right? Whether that was pushed down with his fear and stuff or not. So
I guess
That's
we'll
a good
find
point,
out
actually.
early.
I never thought about that, but that's a good point. He
Just-
could just not talk out of fear. Because,
Yeah.
like, when you're alone and when he was enclosed and being taken from, like, pirates and
Yep.
Imperials, like, you wouldn't talk because you wouldn't want to, like, get caught or known or anything like that, especially when you're force sensitive. So,
Yep.
yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense. So let's move on to the second biggest reveal of the episode. We had a post-credit scene,
We
which
did.
we have not had in 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
2 seasons, 1
Didn't we
season.
have some in the first one?
We did not have a post-credit scene in any of the season 1 episodes, as far as I can recall. As far as I can recall, every
I
scene
thought there were,
took place
and then we were
before the
surprised.
credits.
I thought there was one after like every single episode, and that's what we
Yeah.
mentioned in this season. Was there was
Oh.
absolutely none.
Oh no, there was that wasn't a post-credit scene. That was a teaser for this next episode. There was always a teaser for the next episode.
Oh, okay.
Like it was
I
like
was just
a
Okay,
little
yeah,
bit of
that's fine.
clips for the next episode. Like
I was just considering
that's
those the same thing. But yes, I understand what you're saying. Gotcha.
yeah, that's fair.
That
You
makes
could
more
consider
sense,
it the
yeah.
same thing because here we go back to Tatooine. We go back to Jabba's palace where we see Big Fortuna, who, for those of you who have seen Return of the Jedi 80 times like I have, that is the right-hand man to Jabba the Hutt himself. He was kind of like his translator, interpreter.
Yep.
And when I guess he didn't die when Jabba's ship got blown up, but Boba and Fennec, they kill all his surrounding guards and they release his slave and they kill him. And it looks like Boba Fett and Fennec are now going to be the leaders of the criminal underground because that's what Jabba the Hutt ran.
Yep.
And we will find out more next December in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Which
That's
I think that means we're not getting Mando next year. I think we might be waiting till 2022, or maybe they release Mando a little earlier. But as far as I've heard, right now they're filming the Book of Boba Fett. There's been rumors about that, even though they didn't announce it at the Disney's investors meeting, which was like a few days ago or like a week ago.
I think it was a
And
week
the
ago,
other, yeah, a week ago. And as we've discussed, there's been multiple Star Wars shows announced, and 2 of them, Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, take place in the same time period as Mando. And for those of you who like the Marvel movies, they're supposed to connect like that. Like sometimes
Yep.
have crossover episodes, and so you watch. And I'm guessing that this Boba Fett show will be like those other 3 shows and connect with them. And maybe we'll see Mando show up. Maybe we'll see Cara Dune show up, Grief Karga, because
Yep.
he runs the Bounty Hunters Guild, and that would make sense because I don't think the guild existed during the time of the Empire. So there might be a clash between the old criminal underbelly and like
Yep.
the Bounty Hunters Guild, who are kind of like semi
Yep.
okay with the New Republic. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think
I'm excited for that show.
yeah, absolutely. I think regardless, we're gonna get, whether we get Mando first or if we get the Book of Boba Fett first, we're bound to get at least some sort of explanation of what happens on this ship, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Fennec's got to get off somehow, right? They got to get
Yeah.
reunited again, right? Because Boba Fett's off in hyperspace now, somewhere just hanging
Right.
out. and Fennec's still on the
Literally.
light cruiser. So there's got to be. I'm assuming they're not just going to straight jump without any sort of explanation. That's not really their fashion. So I would assume, regardless, we're going to get at least a little bit of closure by next year. So, which
Yeah.
is right. So
Yeah. What's kind of funny is that when The Mandalorian was first announced, like the only big Mandalorian in Star Wars was Boba Fett. People thought this was going to be the Boba Fett show.
Yep.
But now we're getting a Boba Fett show.
Yep, exactly.
So after 2 seasons of everyone being like, "Oh, it's not the Boba Fett show," you tell someone new about it, and that's like the only Mandalorian you've seen.
Yep.
Now we're getting that show that everyone expected. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. I really think that'll be.
for
I
sure.
think we're in for a joyous time this time next year
Mhm.
with all the stuff we're getting on the Disney side, from the Marvel universe to the Star Wars universe and everything in between, right? So it's a good time to enjoy TV.
It is. So before we end things here, any big predictions for the next season other than the next season or the Boba Fett show, other than the whole it'll explain Fennec's how she got off the light cruiser? Any big predictions from either of you?
I mean, we first need to figure out what happens between like Bo-Katan and Mando when it comes to the Darksaber, because you know, I don't know. He can't just yield and just give her the blade like that. So I don't know. I mean, okay, when you think about it, like the story of like the power in the blade is in the story, right? But like no one knows that Mando like defeated Moff Gideon besides them. So Bo-Katan
Yeah.
could technically just say that she defeated them, just lie about
But they're
it.
all very honor bound.
But
Yeah.
both of them, and that'll never ever happen.
Yeah.
Mando's not gonna Mando might concede, but she's not gonna take it, and Mando's not gonna lose. If he has to fight, he's gonna fight. We know
Yeah.
that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he'll concede beforehand. He'll give it to her, but he's not gonna go into battle and lose on purpose. That's
Yeah.
just not his way of
Not his
doing
style,
things,
no.
right?
Oh yeah. I guess we can side note about this is we never mentioned that they had the Darksaber this whole time, but they never tried to use it on like the Dark Troopers earlier. I know we kind of people just
Yeah.
I guess we just glossed over that.
Yeah,
fact
if they let the blast doors
like,
open, they could have used it on them.
Yeah, I mean, Nathaniel was talking about that before we started filming here. That's what we were saying, is would have been really cool to see if Mando had actually
Mando,
decided
like,
to use it,
yeah,
or what would have happened if they'd actually, like in the universe of what ifs, if they had actually gotten through the blast doors, no Jedi shows up, no Luke. How does that
what
go
would
down?
happen, right? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they have
That's a
they
good
have like
question.
I don't know. Mando's pretty resilient with his armor, and he had the Darksaber too on him. So I mean, he could technically cut through all of them because we saw what a lightsaber can do to those Dark Troopers. The Darksaber is not much different, really.
Yeah,
Like, same
exactly.
property. So I don't know. Anyways, I guess that's where season 2 would probably pick up, is just what happens with the Darksaber.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking from a more broad spectrum, with Grogu sort of out of the picture for at least a little bit. I'd say at least the first 3 episodes, maybe could be the whole season, to be quite honest with you. But I don't know. I don't see that happening. But I'd assume
He's their biggest moneymaker.
exactly right. He'll be out for a little while, but just until they can write him back in somehow. I'm assuming we're gonna dive a lot more into the taking back Mandalore sort of side of things now,
Yeah.
right? Which I mean, I'd assume, right? I'm assuming Mando's not
Well,
just
Mando
gonna
has
be
nothing
like,
else. He has nothing else to do at this point,
peace out.
really.
I'm gonna go back to
Yeah,
bounty
literally,
hunting.
he has nothing else to do.
Yeah,
Right,
he finished his job. He finished his
He
quest,
said
right?
he'd do it. Yeah.
Like he brought Grogu back to his kind, which is exactly what he was told to do.
Exactly.
He got it done, and I guess I don't know. He can just like go bounty hunting too, really, if he really wanted to. But
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the
He doesn't have a
Thanos
ship.
type to go
that's
bask
also
in the
very
sun.
fair.
That's
No,
a very
I've-
big point too.
he's got to stick with
the Razor
someone.
Crest
He can't
God.
fly anywhere.
Yeah.
Until he gets the Razor Crest 2.0, he's kind of grounded. He
I don't
doesn't
think they
stick
can
with
make a
someone.
2.0 out of that, right? Like it's an
No, they
old
said
ship.
it's an old ship,
It's
so
one of a kind,
you-
and it's also
can't-
melted.
yeah, it's gone. It's less than rubble. It's less than ash. It's nothing.
Nope. It was disintegrated.
So I have a few predictions. So
Sure.
I'll separate them for Mando season 3 and the Boba Fett show.
Sure.
Mando season 3, I think there's a gap of a few years between, like, I think we might have one episode that takes place right after, and then I think we take a gap. And then, so that when Mando comes, you have something to say?
I have a question about that, and I think it's going to clear up for the viewers your predictions here. So if you're thinking there's a 1 year gap, right? Or not a 1 year gap, sorry, a few year gap, right? This is with the assumption that the book of Boba Fett comes out first, correct?
Yes.
Or doesn't
yes,
matter?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I'd say it matters more. There, honestly, if it came out second, I'd still say that I think there's a gap, because I think they want to let Grogu develop a little bit,
Yeah.
and maybe show how Mando's doing alone, how Grogu's doing alone, just to reunite them for something big.
Yep.
And for some threat, or just because Mando misses Grogu, who knows? But I think they'll separate them just so that they can find a good reason to bring them back together and show that Grogu's developed. Maybe so he can do a little more in the show. So he can be a little more proactive with the Force, like you said, Nat. So that's like you said, though. I think that the siege, like taking back Mandalore, that could be a big part of the show.
Yep.
I think that the Darksaber plot also will be a big part. Whether there's a gap or not, I think those are all big parts. For the Book of Boba Fett, I think it's going to take place mostly on Tatooine. I think maybe we'll see the Marshal back, Cobb Vanth. I think he might butt heads with Boba Fett. I think we'll see maybe more reoccurring characters from older Star Wars than before.
Yep.
But I think that show will mostly stay on Tatooine and maybe a few more planets, but won't really go to as many as Mando does, because Mando was the bounty hunter, but also he has no ship now, so he's, like we said, kind of grounded in a sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, I guess before we wrap things up here, Austin, I'm going to give it to you to talk about something that's happening over at our website / Instagram page.
Yes, I take your invitation to speak, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so we currently, as Christmas is a week away, we're going to run a giveaway for the next week. And we put together 2 Christmas bundles with a couple things, a couple little snacks and stuff, and then a gift card for our winners to enjoy a couple Christmas movies at home, because we know everybody's stuck and grounded without a ship per se, with the inability to go anywhere. So we figured we'd give a couple of groups of people some opportunities to enjoy some movies, enjoy some time with the fam around the holidays, and just give back a little bit. So if you go to our Instagram page, like the post, follow the page, and then tag a few friends for that extra entry, and we'll draw a winner Christmas morning and contact our winners as soon as possible.
Now, before we leave, I'd also like to mention that we will have one more Mandalorian video coming out next week to give our thoughts on the season as a whole and a ranking on all 8 episodes.
Yep.
And predictions for season 3. We'll go into more. We'll come up with some more. And so be ready to check that out, and do that by clicking on that bell, subscribing, and also liking the video, just because. And so from everyone here at the Prairie Grown Reviews team, see you guys next time.